That's what you want. That's what you shall have.
There will be a war.
From the accents to the outfits to the gang-related family drama, the Shelbys have given us the right amount of drama and bloodshed to keep us glued to the crimes of Birmingham. Peaky Blinders is one of the best British dramas in the history of television. The show is known for its brilliant actors, great storylines, and incredible cinematography. One can never really tell with crime dramas as there are a lot of unpredictable scenes, and many fans are eager to know scenes that were not scripted and they could never see coming from Peaky Blinders. Today we're going to look at Peaky Blinders' unscripted moments. But before we get into it, here's a quick reminder to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and turn on post notifications for this channel. The first scene on our list is Aunt Polly's predictions. Polly saw into the future and could foresee a lot of things, including her daughter's death. Auntie P has been having dreams that her daughter Anna died, since she was snatched away by the parish authorities along with her son Michael. She explains, "Lately, I've had a feeling I can't put into words, and I keep having a dream. I see a pretty girl, about 18 years old, and she's standing across the street, and she tells me she's passed over. Now my daughter would have been 18 this year, and this girl has dark eyes like mine. And she shouts and she shouts, and she tells me she wants to talk to me because I'm her mother. Now I don't even know what name they gave her after they stole her from me, but if she does want to say goodbye, I thought this would be the place." The medium claims to be able to contact the dead and confirms Polly's suspicions that her daughter has died, but later, Esme claims that the woman is a fraud who simply set up shop to trick distraught widows whose husbands died in the war. However, when Tommy looks into it, he discovers that Anna did in fact die. She kept escaping the family she lived with and was eventually taken to Australia, where she died of spring fever. Polly writes, "So my little Anna traveled all the way back across the world to be with me in my dreams." Up next, the script and in fact, the entire show make you believe that it glorifies violence and gunfights, but that isn't what it is. According to the show's creator Stephen Knight, they strategically avoid glamorizing violence in the show. Stephen Knight has gone out of his way to depict the violence in the show in a realistic and unglamorous way by showing the repercussions of violent acts. Knight has said that the writing of Peaky Blinders abides by the rule that any violence has to have a consequence in terms of the story, to avoid glamorizing violence. In his words, "I'm always very keen that any act of violence has a consequence in terms of the story. Very rarely in the real world is there any act of violence that doesn't have a big consequence. So, in an early episode where they do use the razor blades, it has a consequence that lasts the rest of the series." Next up, here's something else you won't see on the scripts of the show. The actors of John Shelby and Michael Gray are actually related in real life. Joe and Finn Cole are brothers in real life. Also, Charlotte Riley, who plays May Carleton, and Tom Hardy, Alfie Solomons, are a couple in real life. Up next, the series didn't hire any linguistic consultants for their language and accents. The producers of Peaky Blinders decided not to hire any linguistic consultants to work on the show. This was a controversial move, because without any experts around to set the record straight, the gypsy characters have been speaking in broken Romanian for the whole series as opposed to the actual language they speak, Romani. Still, Cillian Murphy was committed to getting it right. He spent some time with actual Romani gypsies in Birmingham when the series creator Stephen Knight took him down there so that he could prepare for the role of Romani descendant Tommy Shelby. They used the Romanian language for the first 2 seasons, but switched it up to the supposed Romani language. Speaking of accents, James Nesbitt and Liam Neeson helped Sam Neill perfect his Irish accent. Sam Neill was born in Northern Ireland, but he grew up in New Zealand, so when he was cast as Campbell in Peaky Blinders, he was required to do an Irish accent. He enlisted the help of Irish actors James Nesbitt and Liam Neeson. In the end, he managed to perfect the accent and do a flawless 1920s Irish inflection in his voice for the role of Campbell. However, it turned out to be all a moot point, as he was later required to tone down the accent so that the show could be marketed to American audiences. While the show has often received criticism for the seemingly inaccurate accents, much of the cast and crew have confirmed that they are historically accurate. The 1920s dialect for Birmingham, England was said to be slightly different. Helen McCrory has even stated that the accents are authentic 1920s Birmingham dialects. Despite this, many UK viewers believe that the accents are watered-down versions of proper dialects to appeal to the US viewers. Next up, we have Thomas and Alfie's grenade conversation in Season 2, Episode 6. When the walls are closing in on Thomas Shelby and his family, he pulls the rabbit out of the hat with this one. He walks into Alfie's office, who is trying to give 100% of Tommy's business, and tells him that he and James, standing outside, have a grenade-tripped wire to a barrel of rum, and if anyone other than Thomas walks out of the door, James is going to blow it all up. Alfie, hearing that, can't tell if Thomas is bluffing or not. And after a surreal back and forth, Thomas agrees to give 35% of his business to Alfie. This scene is a masterclass in acting by Tom Hardy and Cillian Murphy. Up next, I bet the scripts couldn't have prepared you well enough for this one. Alfie Solomon's return from the dead. After Thomas got to know about Alfie's involvement with Luca, he wanted to finish him off for good. So, near a beach, Tommy killed Alfie, or at least we thought so. Until season 5, where Alfie made his return. It was revealed that he was shot in the face, but he miraculously survived, and Tommy knew that fact. The fans were mightily relieved to see one of their favorite characters return. Next up, the scripts may have drifted a little, and some of the unscripted scenes were the original parts. For instance, the real Peaky Blinders could not afford razor blades. The whole premise and title of the show are based on the idea that the Peaky Blinders gang kept razor blades in their caps to cut people with. They sewed razor blades into their caps in order to blind people when they headbutted them. However, since the gang was made up of lower class people and razor blades were considered a luxury item, they wouldn't actually been able to afford them. The misconception comes from a novel by John Douglas called A Walk Down Summer Lane. Up next, another unscripted moment that stirred up some theory questions. In season 4 in episode 1, where Tommy Shelby mentions leaving food and drank out for Santa and Rudolph. The show takes place in the 1920s. Rudolph didn't make his appearance until 1939, and Santa has been known exclusively as Father Christmas in the UK until the influence of US films and TV shows created a predominance of the name Santa for the younger generations beginning in the 1990s. Next up, just like unscripted moments, impulse also comes from unexpected scenes. The scenes that fans never see coming. One of these scenes on Peaky Blinders is Grace's death. Thomas's love of his life was revealed to be pregnant in the last episode of season 2, and season 3 began with their wedding. But as far as Tommy is concerned, a happy ending is never in the cards, as at a fundraiser party out of nowhere, an Italian assassin murders Grace on the order of Vincente Changretta. She is killed by a gunshot, and that moment will be forever etched in the fans' memories. After this happened, there is no way in hell that Tommy will ever be okay. John's death also came as a bit of surprise to the fans. Luca left a lasting impact on the series as he managed to kill one of the best characters in Peaky Blinders. When Michael visits John in his house, they are greeted by some Italian assassins who start shooting. John manages to protect Michael, but in the process is hit by multiple gunshots and he dies instantly. The fans were left bamboozled by what transpired in front of their eyes, and until now, no one has been able to fill the void left by John. Lastly, in Peaky Blinders, the titular gang is portrayed as the biggest gang on the streets in Birmingham in the 1920s, but this wasn't the actual fact. Tommy Shelby and his family owned the city, with little competition from other Brummie gangs. However, in real life, the Peaky Blinders had their peak in the 1890s. By the 1920s, a gang that was aptly named the Birmingham Gang had dominated the city. The Peaky Blinders gang was still around, but it didn't have the power that the Shelbys are portrayed to have in the show. That is a wrap for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to stick around for more exciting content on this channel. You don't want to miss out.